we're talking about serious violence, we're talking about doing it in a public health way, and that we are supposed to be being preventative rather than putting out fires. So every job we have to still put out fires, but that preventative approach is really important. Doing things in isolation does work, but actually doing it as a group, rolling it out each year, coming to make sure that we're going to as many settings as possible is really important so that children get that message and they get that education.
Ruben asked Layla to keep her Snap Map location on at all times so he can see where she is. When she turns it off, he messages her repeatedly asking what she's hiding. Yeah, red flag, red flag. Anyone with a green flag? Yeah. Right, somebody. What's your name, sorry?
Mine, Fabiana.
Could you tell me why you think that's a red flag?
Because when she turns it off, he immediately thinks she's hiding something instead of like, oh, are you okay or something? Because I personally keep mine on because, like, just if I lose my thing.
Okay.
But it was to be turned off. The fact that he thinks that she's hiding something is what makes it bad.
I thought the session was incredibly inspiring, and I thought it lends an interesting, really insightful perspective around how the kind of smallest choices you can make can have absolutely huge consequences, whether that's positive or negative.
So when I say what's your inner geek, I like to always ask people and go around the room, and it's a quick workshop that I do to see, because it opens people's minds up, and then it also shows me who's still got ego and who still thinks they're tough and bad in front of their friends, or who's comfortable being themselves. I also like Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers, I love wrestling. That's my go-to. That's my peak place. You know, I'm still watching Power Rangers now, 45. I started when I was like your age. Okay, the banjo or the guitar?
No, I like Dolly Parton, believe it or not.
Oh, Dolly Parton?
Yeah.
Okay. I listen to Elvis, man. Elvis is my guy, love the films, love the songs. Back to you now, big fella. See, he's opened up now. You've got no excuse. He likes Elvis.
When you're commissioning organisations to work with communities, with schools, with children, with young adults, with parents, like, what they are delivering has to be really, really relevant. And right now, I think everybody's kind of like, and rightly so, really believing in lived experience, you know, whereas at one point it wasn't really taking a precedent and now it is. But unfortunately, we live in like a society where there is so much lived experience now. So it's really important to make sure that that lived experience is fitting the remit of the work that we actually want to do. So it's really important that you're making sure that you are choosing organisations like Solve that have got fully trained facilitators that can go in, deliver the work that you can see, and you can see the evidence base of their work. You can trace it back, you can look at the data, you can look at the impact, you see what the schools are saying, you see what the children are saying, you see how the children are engaging.
Free will is to do what? Do what you want. Have choice. Yeah? Liberty, do we know what liberty is? Liberty is very similar. I love these two things. Because these two things are what make us human. Fundamentally make us human. And liberty is to have those same powers of choice within our societies. We get to choose. And that extends outside of yourself. It's not just for me.
Yeah, I think as Craig said at the end, I think it might not change their lives, but if it could just plant a little seed in their mind just to question their choices, if ever a situation arose similar to the story that Craig told, that, you know, if that seed is just planted, that they then might make a positive choice in that situation.
Staff, if anything happens to me in the next 45 seconds that may go terribly wrong, he's not to get in trouble. Can I have an agreement with that?
Yeah.
Cool. So, going back to the story, he said, Craig, all I wanted to do was frighten him. Ran at him and said, "Don't give me your phone." He said, no. Then he was shouting, "Someone grab this kid because he tried to rob me," grabs him by 2 hands around his neck. There we go. So then he's now panicking. He's shouting, "Guys, someone, call the police."
We can see that impact. We can measure that, we can trace it, we can physically see it, and we can look at it and read it. So we can see it in numbers, and we can see it in attitudes of children as well. So I think that that's just something that is really worth noting when you're looking at organisations, and commending organisations like Craig's organisation, like Solve, the team at Solve, for doing this kind of work, because it really does fit everything that I feel personally is the remit of what we're looking at doing, at trying to protect children in our areas, and as a whole, in the whole of the UK, but in our particular areas, where our focus is.